For SOL 5D, the national economic goals that we're going to talk about, put the ones that are underlined on the board. Our economic goals include, the first one is full employment. Full employment. Common sense will tell you that means everybody that wants a job has a job, right? So that would mean the unemployment rate would be at what? How much percentage?
0.
It would be at 0. So full employment. Okay? Our second national goal, and again guys, you're going to need to know these. So jot them down in a way that you can remember them. Is stable growth. Meaning we want the economy to continue to grow. Well, to continue to grow, new and competing businesses are going to have to continuously start coming into the market, right? Stable growth. And then lastly, as consumers, we would like to have stable prices. So those are the three main goals that the government tries to get for our economy. Now, how does the government plan on getting this stuff? Okay, obviously the government can pursue policies aimed at stabilizing the economy. So out beside of those three, in order to try to create or meet our national economic goals, put down beside of it that policies are created by the government. Policies are created by the government. Aimed at stabilizing the economy. And this is on the board if you get behind. Aimed at stabilizing the economy. Now, I know I keep going back to this, but you guys remember the other day when I told you about how inflation and recession worked? I used this little thing behind me as an example. Y'all remember that? It's the same type concept here. The government's continuously looking at our economy to make sure that it's growing at a steady rate, to make sure that the unemployment rate staying steady. They're trying to achieve all these goals, okay? So, in order to do that, we're going to talk about why do market economies tend to have economic growth, and what can the government do to help the economy toward full employment, stable prices, and stable growth. Okay, so basically how can we do that? So, how do market economies tend to grow? So I would put my little next subtitle down here, I put economic growth and underline it. We'll start with that one. So how is an economy, one like ours, a mixed market, free market, everybody you want to look at it, how do we entice people to create competition, to create businesses, to try to keep our economy moving? What's the incentive to start a business? Money, right? Profit. Okay? So, if you were considering starting your own business, and then the government comes out and says, well, anybody that wants to start a business between this point and this point, we'll loan you money in order to get it started. That's an incentive for you to try, like, hey, I may need to start my business now, right? I may need to try to get this going. So, market economies tend to grow when? Put down underneath economic growth that incentives are offered. You guys remember what an incentive is? How many types of incentives are there? Come on, guys. We talked about this the other day. There are two, right? Positive and negative ones. So they're obviously going to offer positive incentives to encourage people to work. Okay? So they're going to offer these incentives for people to work. They're going to want the next one is innovations. What's innovations? New ideas, right? New concepts. Every time we turn on the CNN News, they're creating something new, right? Whether it be somebody that can fly with a machine to the top of a mountain, or a heated road, or whatever it may be, right? These new innovations that are bringing to market help increase things, right? Helps expand. So beside of innovations, beside of that, put down expands the market. And here's what I mean by that. That thing you guys seen today on CNN, I can't remember what country it was, but they're creating heated roads, or electric roads, right? To try to charge cars as they drive. Well, if they create that, are they also helping other businesses? Yeah, somebody's going to have to run electricity through all that, right? Someone's going to have to figure out how the electricity can charge the car while it's driving on that road, right? Excuse me. So that innovation is actually creating more job opportunities. Does that make sense? And you always want that in an economy that's trying to grow. All right? And then lastly, we kind of touched on this a second ago. The easiest one. Everybody wants increased money power, so increased profit. Everybody's trying to figure out a way to increase profit. Everyone is trying to increase profit. So those are the three types of economic growth. Through incentives, and I would underline them. Incentives, because I will ask you this question again. Innovations and profit. Increased profit. The three I's. Incentives, innovations, and increased profit help the economy grow. Everybody with me there? All right. Moving forward. It says, what can the government do to help the economy toward full employment, stable prices, and stable growth? Well, up at the top, we wrote down that the government's going to create what to try to stabilize the economy? Policies, right? They're going to try to put things into play that helps out businesses and consumers and things to keep the economy moving. All right? So, the next little subtitle, I will put down simply the word government. The government and how they help the economy toward full employment, stable prices, and growth. We've already wrote that at the top, so we're just going to write down what the government does. Okay? So what does the government do? First thing it says, when the growth is slow and unemployment high, what's the government going to do? Again, very simple stuff. The first one, put down that they're going to put policies in that says that investment through tax credits. So, first one, put down tax credits. Tax credits. They're going to give businesses tax credits. They'll give consumers tax credits to try to make them want to purchase more products. Y'all with me so far? All right. It says that they will implement job training programs. So put down job training programs. To help people get their unemployed. And then lastly, we're going to put down that they're going to expand to hire more people. So expand business to hire more people. If we're hiring more people, what is that doing to the unemployment rate? Making it go up or down? Down. And the whole goal is to have full employment, right? So you try to expand business by creating money in the economy to where they can hire more individuals. Okay? So the government can do it through tax credits, job training, and expansion of business to hire more people. Simple enough? I know I'm giving you the bare minimum here, but This is pretty easy, okay? And then lastly, this is something we haven't touched on but very vaguely in this room. Remember when I made you all get the dollar bill out the other day, and I was like, we was talking about the circular flow, and I was like, how does a dollar from California end up in Virginia? And we decided it got spent somewhere, then that business spent it, then whoever got it spent it, and then somebody else will spend it, right? So we're going to talk about the Federal Reserve. So the very last thing on your notes, write down the Federal Reserve System. Does anybody in here know what the Federal Reserve is? What they do at the Federal Reserve? Yeah, they literally make money. Not like they're trying to make money for themselves. Like they literally print it. They make it. Okay? So you have the Federal Reserve System. You're going to hear me call it the Fed. Just simply F-E-D, Fed. And when I'm talking about that, that is the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve is just like the government, is part of the government. They can use their money policies to help create full employment, stable growth, and stable prices in the economy. They control the money supply, don't they? They're literally the ones that make it, so they can help us out a tremendous amount by how much money they put in or take out of the economy. And that goes back into the inflation and recession stuff that we talked about.
Are they the people that would take the old bills that are written, would they do something with them?
They either discontinue them or they try to just print new ones. If you guys ever go to D.C., you probably can't go into one now because of the virus. But if you ever get the chance to go into a Federal Reserve, it's actually really neat. The one I went into, when you walk in the door, you walk in and it kind of looks like plexiglass everywhere. And you're looking down on these people making money. You know what I mean? Like they're printing it out, counting it, and all that stuff. But when you actually start looking pretty close, all the glass that you're looking through is like a foot thick. Like it's bulletproof. When somebody rolls in there and tries to rob the place, they're not going to get very far with it. So, I mean, it's really neat. But anyway, the Federal Reserve, if you look at the top of that chart, it says can use monetary policy. So I want you to write down monetary policy. And we're going to use some common sense here. Y'all see that up at the top? Monetary policy. What do you think I'm referring to when I say monetary? Just another way of saying money, okay? So if you need to, in parentheses, put the word money underneath monetary, I will go ahead and do that, okay? But monetary just simply means policy, or excuse me, money, okay? So the Federal Reserve can put policies in to help toward, like I said, employment, stable growth, and stable prices. So what do? It says they work to assure that the health of the nation's financial institutions through regulations and enforcement. So let's make that simple. They make sure that America's financial institutions are healthy. Well, what is a financial institution? It would probably be somewhere that holds money for consumers and people like me and you, right? So who holds money, or where is money held for people like you and I? Banks, savings and loans, credit unions. Those are all financial institutions, okay? So first thing I'll put is that they regulate and enforce policies, okay, to protect the health of financial institutions. You guys probably didn't know this, but the Federal Reserve has a policy that says they have to keep a certain amount of money in the Federal Reserve at all times. And the reason they have to do that is in case the economy starts going really high or really low, and if they need to speed it up or slow it down. There is a regulation saying they have to have X amount of money. You with me? Well, they regulate businesses and credit unions and savings and loans and all that stuff by using that fiscal policy. They make them hold so much money, they have to have it on hand. You with me? In case something were to happen. So they regulate financial institutions basically to keep them protected for their health reasons, to make sure they can get out of a bind if they needed to. Okay? The next thing that the Federal Reserve does, or it says in your notes, says they support unemployment insurance, which helps stabilize the economy in times of slow growth. So I would just put it like this. Slow growth is when they offer unemployment insurance. And I'll explain to you what that means right here after we jot it down. I know you guys know what insurance is. It's money that you can use if something happens, right? Like if I'm in a car wreck, I've got car insurance. They pay for my car. If I'm sick, I have health insurance. Helps pay for my doctor bills, right? Same type of concept. Unemployment insurance happens if you lose your what? If you lose your job, they'll help get you back on your feet by giving you a certain amount of money in the hopes that you're going to do what? Find another job so they can, you don't have to pay you so much, right? But how many Americans used unemployment this year? A bunch. So that helps stabilize the economy. Because if those individuals didn't have unemployment benefits, are they going to be spending money into the economy? No, because they simply don't have it, right? But by having that, they were allowed to keep somewhat of a normalcy to their life, even through this virus. You guys with me? So they could afford food, they could make a car payment, they could take their kid to the doctor, they could buy medicine. Unemployment insurance helps you do that. All right? And then lastly, it says it encourages invention, innovation, and growth through patents and copyright laws. Just simply write down patents and copyright laws. Do you guys know what a patent is? You guys know what copyright is?
Yeah.
What is it?
Like when you use like something somebody else's without their permission.
Oh, if it's copyrighted, you're using it with their permission because they've sold their name or whatever it is they're selling. They've put their name on something and you're buying it. And then they get a certain percentage of that, right? Every time I think of copyright, I think of George Foreman grills. Y'all know what them little grills you put little hamburgers in? George Foreman gets a percentage of that every single time one of those is sold because his name is on it. It's copyrighted for him. Same thing with a patent. If you come up with an idea that you think's really good and you think you can sell that idea, you go through the U.S. Patent Office and they'll give you the rights to whatever idea you came up with. So in the future, if someone tries to use it, guess who they have to come through in order to make it? You. And then you can make money on it. But they do those patents and copyright laws. Beside of that, put down because of invention and innovation. They want people to come up with new ideas, and they want people to pursue those ideas through invention and innovation. Okay? Now, that's literally all of SOL 4 and 5. Okay? Literally, that's all of it. We went through both of those in 1 week. You have every single note that you can possibly imagine for these on the Google Classroom or in your notebooks. All right? What we're going to attempt to do on Monday is take the test. Now, obviously, you guys won't be here, okay? But I'll have it put up through the Google Classroom, and we all can email me if we have any type of questions or concerns on that. Does that make sense? So do any of you have any questions about how our economic goals are trying to be reached through the economy and through the government? Y'all got that? You got it written down? We can study it? Okay. So that's all that I have for you guys today.